wanted to come into something with a little bit of meaning today because of what, excuse me, what today is, man. Today is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Yesterday was his birthday. The civil rights icon would have been 94 years old if he was still with us. Assassinated April 4th, 1968, at the young age of 39 years old. That was Letter to the King by The Game and Nas off the album LAX, which came out in 2008. I just thought I'd get that little historical fact out about Dr. King, not the song. But the name of the song is called Letter to the King. You guys know why I'm here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you guys are going to watch and or listen to this, welcome to yet another episode of the Daily Blitz's first podcast entitled Monday Evening Quarterback. My name is Christian Simpson and I am the creator, I'm the founder, I'm the NFL and college football analyst of a company called The Daily Blitz, where we specialize in everything football 24/7, 365. If you've been following along from the get-go, as always, thank you. I hope you're doing well and I hope you're staying safe. And if this is your first time tuning in or checking me out, or you were referred to someone, but I mean, one, thank you to the person who referred you to me, and two, thank you for taking the referral. And lastly, I appreciate you for stopping by to listen and or watch this episode of Monday Evening Quarterback. It's the playoff edition. The wild card round will be in the books after tonight, and then the best weekend in the NFL will be taking place next week, starting Saturday, the divisional round. Remember how great of a round it was last year? All four games last season were decided by single digit points. Bengals Titans was decided by a field goal. 49ers Packers decided by a field goal. Rams Buccaneers decided by a field goal. And the Bills and Chiefs needed overtime, and Kansas City won that in overtime at that. I'm going to talk about what's caught my eye during the first round of the NFL playoffs, Super Wild Card Weekend. 2 games took place on Thursday. 3 took place yesterday, and as I said, 1 remains, and that one is taking place tonight. And before I get into that, there was a national championship that took place. I still got to talk about it. I know it was a blowout. The Georgia Bulldogs, I think they took things personally last week against TCU. They heard all the talking. They heard what y'all said. You don't look the same. You just got by Ohio State. You beat them by a point. You had to come back down from 14 points. And I always say, championship pedigree means being able to turn it on and turn that switch on when it matters most. And that's exactly what they did against Ohio State. And, coming into the game, the key for TCU was to win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And most importantly, pressure Stetson Bennett. Because if you don't, he'll just do what he wants, when he wants, and he'll get whatever he wants. TCU didn't do that. Stetson Bennett had himself quite the day. Finished with accounted for 6 touchdowns. And Georgia repeated as national champions once again, becoming the first team since Alabama to repeat 2011, 2012, and 2013 with a 65-7 routing of the Horned Frogs. This game was over by the half. Let's just put it that way. Georgia's defense saved their best performance for when it mattered most. They were just physical, and as my co-analyst Cole Johnson said, that was a bring you behind the woodshed beatdown. And he's not wrong. He's absolutely right on that. What's going on, Coach? Stetson Bennett, say what you want about him, but this guy has delivered when you've needed him to. This guy has made sure that anytime you need a big play, he got it for you, whether it was with his legs, whether it was with his arm. It was him making a throw on the run or making a throw from the pocket. He found a way to deliver. Not the sexiest name, not the flashiest player, but this is a guy that just stayed true to his skill set and remained in his box. And this is why Kirby Smart was hired. Not to win SEC East Division championships, not to win, not to win conference championships, not to just make the playoffs to say you got there, and not to just make the national championship to say you got there. No, he was hired to win national championships, and he's won two of them in back-to-back years. What a performance, 65-7. Unfortunately, on a somber note, I do have to share that a young man who played in that game just last week, Devin Willock, offensive lineman for the Bulldogs, was unfortunately killed with a recruiting analyst in a car accident yesterday. This really took a lot of wind out of me. The young kid who had a bright future ahead of him. You know, his last tweet was shown with him and a young boy in a restaurant taking a picture. The young kid is wearing his championship ring. Just an absolutely devastating blow to that entire program. My thoughts and prayers are with the families of both who tragically lost their lives. My thoughts and prayers are with the entire Georgia football program, Kirby Smart, everybody who played with him, his coaches, his family. Just such an awfully tragic loss, and you never want to see anybody lose their life. Remember, that's somebody's family member, and no parent, as I always say, should have to bury a child, no matter how old they get. That's all I really have on college football. Georgia handled their business, switching gears, trying to get back into a lighter subject. Georgia handled their business. They're national champions for the second straight year. I want to know from you guys, can they three-peat? Leave it in the comments of this video when it's published. I really want to know what y'all think. Can they three-peat? Then the NFL, Super Wild Card Weekend. You know, I really like how they've done this schedule now. The 2 games on Saturday, the 3 on Sunday, and the 1 on Monday night. And yeah, it all started on Saturday with the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. Divisional matchup, second time ever meeting in the playoffs. Last time they played, Richard Sherman, decided to announce to the world what you do when you put a quote-unquote sorry receiver like Michael Crabtree on him. Those are the results you get. LOB. Word for word. Verbatim. Seattle just snuck into the playoffs, courtesy of the Detroit Lions handling their business against the Green Bay Packers. Snuck in as the 7th and the final seed in the NFC. San Francisco, winners of the NFC West this year, and the 2 seed. Remember, back then it used to be the two teams with the best records in their conference. 2 in the AFC, 2 in the NFC, getting that first round bye. Now only 1 team gets the first round bye. The Eagles have it in the NFC. The Kansas City Chiefs have it in the AFC. Coming into this game, one thing I pointed out was Seattle was the only team that saw Brock Purdy twice this year. Didn't really know what to expect from him the first time because you're learning as you go along, and they learned as the game went on and everything. But now I kind of wanted to see what type of game plan Seattle was going to come in with against San Francisco. Just couldn't. Were you going to blitz him? Were you going to pressure him? And Brock Purdy was making his first playoff start. San Fran came into this game winners, of 10 games in a row. And in the 5 that Brock has played, he's gone 5-0, obviously, on the 10-game winning streak. He really doesn't have to do a lot. And I'm not taking anything away from him, per se, but he does indeed have a good team around him. Christian McCaffrey, who's looked like a completely different man since coming to San Francisco. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, George Kittle. A really good offensive line, and all they need from Brock is to control things and not turn the ball over. And he's done a pretty good job of that. He was aiming to become just the second rookie quarterback to win a playoff game. Excuse me. Russell Wilson was the first back during the 2012-2013 NFL season. And he was with those Seattle Seahawks. And I had a feeling Seattle was going to play them tough because, division teams know what you're going to bring to the table. Remember, you see them 2 times a year, so it makes sense. But in the end, San Francisco just had too much firepower. And that's the thing about great teams. They know when to turn it on, when they know they need to. They won this game by a score of 41-23. Brock Purdy threw for over 300 yards, 332 yards at that. 18-30, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and was only sacked once. Christian McCaffrey, 15 carries, 119 yards, and Deebo Samuel, 6 receptions, 133 yards receiving, and 1 touchdown. These 49ers are rolling. I think they're the hottest team right now in the playoffs. And as I said the other day on the Sports Cubicle, they're my pick to come out the NFC. You heard it here first. I know normally, I'm quiet, I'm reserved, but no. I think San Francisco, they have what it takes to go on a run, beat anybody in their path in the NFC, and get to the Super Bowl. And if I'm Philly, that's who I'm worried about. No disrespect to anyone else, but if I'm the Eagles, that's the team I don't want to see when it matters most. Everybody keeps telling me San Fran won't have a chance against Philly. Yes, they will. Again, physicality travels. Physicality doesn't matter where you play. When you play in cold weather, you can run the ball and you can just be physical up front and win the war of the trenches up front, pretty much win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, you have a shot. They punch teams in the mouth. They play with a fast defense in each tier. They have the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year in Nick Bosa. And, they just have a defense that swarms to the football. And that's what I really like about this team. Handled their business. They're on to the divisional round. Let's talk about that second game. Y'all knew it was coming. AFC division wild card game. This is the one I was really looking forward to. 5th seed Los Angeles Chargers, 4th seed Jacksonville Jaguars. Last time the Jaguars were in the playoffs, Blake Bortles was the starting quarterback. Leonard Fournette was the starting running back, and they were a game away from the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game. And Trevor Lawrence really got off to a slow start. Kept turning the ball over left and right. And how about Asante Samuel Jr. stunting like his daddy? That's words of Dwayne Carter. Little Wayne, better known as Little Wayne. 3 interceptions of Trevor Lawrence. The Chargers built up that lead early. And look, I'll be real. That's the best half of football I've seen them play in a really long time, because they have a tendency to let their opponent stick around. And that's what happened in this one. Jacksonville kept chipping away at that lead. Doug Peterson really dug in, no pun intended, dug into his trick playbook and just found different ways to try and move the ball down the field, getting ETN the football a little bit more, getting getting um, Trevor Lawrence in more control because I thought Trevor was aggressive. But one thing I'll give the Chargers a lot of credit for: the first time when these two teams met, Jacksonville crushed the Chargers secondary with a ton of short to intermediate routes, and the Chargers had no answer for it. In the game on Saturday, those guys in the LA secondary, they played back in zone, and anytime a wide receiver went to cut or run a slant route, that's when they would jump the route, and they made adjustments when they had to. Jacksonville made adjustments in the second half. At one point, this game was 27-0, and the Chargers only kicked the field goal in the second half. Jacksonville did come back to win this game by a score of 31-30. Like, I don't get it. When you have a lead that big, run the football. It's not that difficult to do. You have a workhorse at running back in Austin Eckler for a reason. Run the football. You only ran the football 8 times. Control the clock. Keep them on the sideline. Run time off the clock. And you're playing in a divisional round. But they decided not to do that. And, it just kind of baffles me at that. Looking at the stats here. Justin Herbert, 25 of 43, 273 yards passing, 1 touchdown. He was sacked 3 times. Austin Eckler, 13 carries for 35 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not the greatest, but I think those numbers would have been improved if you decided to feed him the ball. Then on the Jaguar side, Trevor Lawrence gave us a 4 for 4. 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Travis Etienne ran the ball 20 times for 109 yards, and Evan Ingram, who was my X factor coming into this game, caught 7 passes for 93 yards. Brandon Staley's got to go. Because I said if the Chargers were going to lose this game, they were going to do something silly. They were going to drop the ball. And that's exactly what they did. Just a devastating way to lose a playoff game. And now you have all the time in the world to think about it. From now all the way up until when you go to camp, which is in July. So those were the 2 games that took place on Saturday. Let's talk about the third game. The first of 3 yesterday, which was the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo, again, their second game since everything happened with Damar Hamlin, and the news continues to just get better and better about this kid. He's at home recovering. Excuse me. And you couldn't be happier for him, especially what happened. Can't believe it's been 2 weeks now. Been 2 weeks today. This was an interesting showdown in the regular season. Remember, Miami beat Buffalo in week 3. Josh Allen threw the ball 63 times, which I was not happy about. Then Buffalo beat Miami on December 17th to clinch a playoff spot. And then they would go on to win the division the following week in Chicago against the Bears. So this was a grudge match, and Miami was down to their 3rd string quarterback in Skylar Thompson. 2 was hurt. Teddy Bridgewater's hurt. So what could Skylar do? And Skylar didn't look bad. Didn't look the greatest either, but he didn't look bad. My key coming into the game for the Buffalo Bills was to play a clean slate of football. Do not turn the football over. Play at your pace. Don't force things. Josh Allen, unfortunately, ends up throwing 2 interceptions, and sometimes he's a bit careless with the football. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is when I also want to see a game plan where they kind of take pressure off Josh Allen and they allow him to hand the ball off. Again, running the football pays dividends still in a pass happy league. Um, Buffalo jumped out to a 17-0 lead. Then Miami came fighting back. At one point in this game, Miami had the lead, 24-20, and I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. But Buffalo rallied the troops, punched the ball in the end zone a couple of times. Defense made a couple of plays when they needed to. Miami, horrible clock management. You might want to hustle up to the line and not pace yourself when it's 4th and 1 and there's only about 4 or 5 seconds left on the game clock. The season's on the line, and that's how Miami's season unfortunately came to an end. But I had to give the Dolphins a lot of credit because they really came ready to play. No one expected them to be in this game. Everybody thought Buffalo was just going to run away with it, but that's the beauty of the National Football League. Buffalo won by a score of 34-31. Yeah, Buffalo won that by a score of 34-31. Looking at those numbers right here, Skylar Thompson, like I said, 18 of 45, so that's not the greatest. 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Miami couldn't get the running game going. That was a problem. Tyreek Hill was the leading receiver, as to be expected. 69 yards receiving. Then on the other side, Josh Allen, 23 of 39. 352 yards passing. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he was sacked 7 times. Devin Singletary was the leading rusher. Stephon Diggs, of course, leading wide receiver, and Gabe Davis was the second leading wide receiver with 113 yards. Excuse me. 113 yards receiving and a touchdown. Buffalo's got to tighten some things up because I didn't like how they looked yesterday. They let Miami hang around. They never really got into a rhythm. After jumping up 17-0, Miami had a chance to win this game, but Buffalo turned it on when they needed to. So they're off to the second round once again. Second game of the day. Minnesota Vikings, the NFC North champion. Minnesota Vikings hosting Daniel Jones and the 6th-seeded New York Football Giants, or Big Blue, as everybody likes to call them. This was a really entertaining game a couple of weeks ago on Christmas Eve. Came down to the end, and Greg Joseph kicked a 61-yard field goal to allow the Vikings to be victorious in that game, 27-24. Coming into this one, I remember saying on the radio last week, the Giants had their best offensive day against the Minnesota Vikings due to the simple fact the Vikings struggle defensively to get off the field, to make tackles, just lack the basic fundamentals. You knew what you were going to get from them offensively, but defensively, that was their kryptonite. And yes, I did have Minnesota winning this game, but I just want to clarify that when I was on the sports cubicle the other day, Paul Shivari asked me, who could I see getting upset? And I did say I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants did beat Minnesota. And, I'm just saying that because I know some of y'all are going to say, no, you had Minnesota, stick with that. Yes, I did, but remember, I was asked a question and I answered it professionally. I love what the Giants did yesterday. I think that was Brian Daboll's finest coaching performance of his rookie campaign. got Daniel Jones going with his legs, fed Saquon Barkley, fed the ball to the other receivers. And how about Isaiah Hodgins? Played for Brian Dable in Buffalo, and the minute he hit waivers when he was released from the Buffalo Bills practice squad, he joined Brian in East Rutherford, New Jersey. That's where the Giants play. And the rest is history. He's really come on to become that go-to receiver for the Giants, and their defense came ready to play as well. I love the game plan that Wink Martindale called. It was anytime Justin Jefferson got the ball, be physical with him. Don't let him, sorry for that noise, don't let him get past you. So anytime he caught that ball, they kept him underneath, or anytime he ran a deep route, he was bracketed. They played coverage underneath. They kept a safety high over the top, and pretty much eliminated him and told Kirk, look, if you're going to throw the football, you're throwing it to anybody but number 18. And their game plan worked to perfection, excuse me. Giants played with a lot of control, a lot of poise. Minnesota could just never get into that rhythm, that swing of things. And, I'm looking at that final play. It's 4th and 8. You got to take a shot down the field. You can't throw it underneath thinking someone's going to get it. And the Giants were absolutely ready for it. Questionable call about roughing the passer. And we got to get this right in the offseason before next season, because what I would do, here's what I would do. I would get a committee of guys who actually rush the passer for a living, so former players, to determine what's roughing the passer, because I wouldn't want somebody who never played the game to explain to me, oh, that's roughing the passer. Nah, it's not. And the NFL has had a big problem with this all year. Really the last couple years, but this year it stood out the most. The Giants defense came ready to play. Got after Kirk Cousins, limited Justin Jefferson, bottled up the running game. Yeah, T.J. Hawkinson was the only source for the Vikings offense. The Vikings are going home. The Giants are on to the next round. And I'll tell you who they play before I wrap up everything, and I'll explain all the scenarios and whatnot. Giants won this game 31-24. The last time the Giants won a playoff game was 2012. Their Super Bowl win over the New England Patriots. The second one, Eli won. Eli Manning, that is. The third and final game of yesterday, the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. These two just saw each other last week, and now they're playing each other 7 days later on Sunday night. Joe Burrow, back in the playoffs again. Baltimore here without Lamar Jackson, and whenever these two play, it's always black and blue. Very physical football, and that's exactly what we saw. Tyler Huntley played for Baltimore, and he didn't look bad. Didn't look bad at all. Just a lot of his offensive weapons weren't the greatest. Cincinnati, yeah, they won the game, but I didn't like the way they looked. The entire turning point of this entire game was when Tyler tried to dive over and put the ball over the plane, ends up bobbling it and fumbling it. Sam Hubbard picks it up. Big guy touchdown, 98 yards, puts the Bengals on top. That would actually be the go-ahead score for the Bengals. They won that game by a score of 24-17. But I got to give Baltimore a lot of credit because they were physical, they were stingy, got after Joe Burrow, flushed him out the pocket. And I said for the Bengals to counterattack that, run the football, get Joe Mixon and Samaj P. Ryan going, and get Tyler Boyd going. I think he's the forgotten piece of this offense because he does all the dirty work underneath. He can go over the middle, make those catches in traffic, and he's just another weapon at Joe Burrow's disposal. I look at Cincinnati, looking at the stats right here. Tyler Huntley threw for 226 yards, two touchdowns, one interception. J.K. Dobbins was running the ball effectively, 62 yards on 13 carries. Gus Edwards had 39 yards, and Tyler Huntley was the second leading rusher behind J.K. Looking at Burrow, 22 of 32, 209 yards passing, one touchdown, no interceptions. He was sacked 4 times, so that offensive line continues to raise questions and eyebrows. With the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Mixon, 39 yards rushing. Jamar Chase, 84 yards receiving. Cincinnati's defense, they're a sneaky physical group. They know how to make teams one-dimensional. They will get after you. They force turnovers. And this is another team I wouldn't want to face come playoff time. So, yeah, with that being said, here are the scenarios. So, 3 of the matchups for next weekend are set in the AFC. First game, Jacksonville Jaguars, Kansas City Chiefs, top-seeded Kansas City Chiefs, rematch from the regular season. They'll be doing battle first thing Saturday afternoon. Right after that, the New York Giants go to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. I cannot wait to get my hands on that one. A rivalry game. These fan bases don't like each other. These two teams don't like each other. And there's been a lot of memorable moments between these two franchises. Sunday, the first thing in the AFC, Cincinnati Bengals, Buffalo Bills. It's only appropriate we get this matchup again since it was unfortunately suspended due to what happened with Damar Hamlin a couple of weeks ago on January 3rd, the Monday Nighter. It sounds like it's some unfinished business to take care of. Ooh, I like that. And the 49ers will play the winner of tonight's game, which is the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both teams are a lot similar than I think people realize because you just never know what to expect. Dallas, they looked horrible last week against the Washington Commanders. And Tampa Bay, they've been too up and down for my liking. When they won games, here I am saying to myself, okay, now they're about to go on a run, and they revert back to playing bad football. And I'm just going to say it again. Tom Brady doesn't scare me like he used to. And I don't want to say it's a concern because anything can happen and he can just hit that switch come playoff time. That's where he's earned a living and pretty much written a bunch of his future Pro Football Hall of Fame career. I think the key tonight for Dallas, one, Dak has to play perfect football. He cannot turn the ball over. 2, Dallas must score in the red zone because Tampa's defense isn't all that great in the red zone. And 3, Micah Parsons needs to be the best defensive player on the football field tonight. Wonder what Dan Quinn's going to run against Tom Brady. Remember, I told you how to beat him. Pressure him up the middle. For Tampa, they got to get the running game going. That's going to help Brady open up the pass because he's not the guy that can take a game over with his arm and throw the ball 40 or 45 times. I think 35 times of him throwing is more than enough. I think Dallas gets them. I'm taking Dallas by a score of 24-20. I previewed it on the site yesterday. Be on the lookout for it. And the winner of this game, as I said, will go and play the San Francisco 49ers. And with that being said, guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. How can you keep up with me? Log on to the site, dailyblitz.blog. Enter your email address and anything that's posted on the site, you will get to your email. Follow us on Twitter at dailyblitz_61. Follow us on Instagram at the dailyblitz_61. The Facebook fan page is coming back soon. Don't worry, I promise. How can you keep up with me? Through the airwaves, Monday Evening Quarterback, every Monday night. Film first, then shared on YouTube, and I'll have an announcement about Monday Evening Quarterback coming very soon. Right after that, You can catch me on the Prime every Monday night and Tuesday night with David Hoffman, Israel Rivera, TJ Hopkins, and Matt James. Wednesdays, you can catch me on the Nerd Zone with Ronnie Coombs on the Nerd Report Network with Ronnie Coombs, John Danzo, and Ryan Shaw. Fridays during the college football season, you can catch me on College Football Showdown on Prime Sports World with the CEO of the brand, Mr. Israel Rivera. Saturdays, check out my online pregame show entitled What's on Tap. Sundays, another episode of What's on Tap. And then you can also catch me on the Sports Cubicle. Just did an interview with them. If you want the link to that, let me know and I'll get it to you. With Michael Angelo Mercado, Paul Shavari, Devin Single, and Dan Marver. If you need the link to check out any of those shows, let me know and I will gladly send it to you. As always, I love ending the show with some shout outs. Huge shout out to my amazing family, my mom, my dad, my beautiful sister Taylor, and my son Siebes, my dog, that is. Y'all know. Love you guys very much and thank you for all you do, all you're going to do, and all you've done for me. I truly appreciate it. My other siblings, Sean, Janice, Tanisha, love y'all. Some of my close friends, Corey Harris, Deshaun Elliott, Robert Butler, um, Kim L. Fryer, Candace Carter, Jason Tyree, um, Rob Carter, or Butler. Well, shout out to the Robs. Let's just put it that way. Mike Griffin, Alex Bennett, other guys, Josh, so many of you to name. My co-analyst, Cole Johnson, better known as Coach, and our moderator, D, who really keeps us on our toes with questions to make sure we're staying fresh and we're sharp with it. Um, and a huge shout out to everybody who's allowed me to come on their show and talk football, whether it's been in the past or whether it's now. It's more than appreciated. I hope you guys enjoy the game tonight. I hope you guys eat some good food with it, kick back, unwind, and I want to know who you guys have winning. Should be fun. Again, Jacksonville, Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati in the AFC, Giants, Eagles, and then the winner of tonight will go to San Francisco. Continue to send me your football questions. Keep up with me on Twitter tonight. I will be breaking the game down. I'll see you guys soon.